have done a ton, right? You've done the
Yeah.
traditional, you've done the TV, you're doing heavy in the digital. So tell me about kind of how you view marketing and attention now. And also, I got to ask about the Whitley advantage too.
Yeah, right. So, our marketing approaches, one of the best, we still do it, and I actually been doing it for almost 17 years. It's a talk show called Attorneys on Call. And this premises of kind of a mock interview. We have a guest, we sometimes bring clients on, other attorneys in the practice. But the premise of that, this has always kind of started about, is more informational advertising. Hey, here's how these cases are handled. Here, sometimes you don't need a lawyer, but here's information. Here's information. Here is how we do things. And sometimes the shows are boring, but people love them because the older people, because the trust and the information. Because when you create and give information, they're trusting you. Oh wow, they're giving away free information. Oh wow, this is how they do things. They actually can see us be lawyers and talk about cases, and that's been very successful. But of course, TV is very scattered, and the demographic is really changing on that. So, how have we then been able to change that same information-based advertising, the trust-based advertising, into a digital format, which we are, in progress doing through in-house videos, snipping down the types of interviews, and of course, everything's got to be like 2 minutes or less, or even less, before people are going to pay attention to it. So again, everybody knows that marketing is all of these different things. You bring somebody in, a client, and you ask them, hey, how did you find out about us? Well, I've always heard about you. My mom watches the Attorneys on Call show, and then I saw a Facebook ad, and then the other day I was driving down the road and saw your billboard and figured, well, might as well give them a call. So it's like 5 different things.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, it's so hard to track that. It's so hard to track that as far as how that is converting for each of your one thing. As we all know, you were in the business of trying to figure that out too.
Yeah.
But to me, the change that I have seen quite clearly, even in the last just 2 years, is going into OTT, transferring our informational marketing into digital format so that it's shorter and they can get out there a lot quicker. And that's kind of how we are not the number one spender in our market. We've got others that spend more money than us, but we've been consistently able to maintain our market share, I think, based on the high level of trust and the branding. The branding that we have done so much in this area, kind of people consider us more of a high, like they value our brand. And because we're asking for them to value our brand, we're also asking for bigger cases and more valuable cases. And I feel like the consumer sees that and they think, well, those guys can handle that kind of stuff, And that's kind of the way, one of my mentors for so long, Harlan Schillinger, had really helped me truly understand that, is that you ask for the cases that you want.
Yep. That there's a lot of weight to that, and I know Harlan quite well, and
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best at that positioning and copywriting and messaging.
Right.
The interesting thing is looking at the brand and how you're part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of times these individuals only have one experience in their life, right? They
Right.
one auto accident. But have you seen the impact of, oh, you helped my father, you helped my mother, and then circle back down because of that experience and because of that relationship? Have you seen the real impact? Because I'd say, newer firms, whether it's they've been in business for 5 years, they don't have the same opportunity to see that as your firm does.
Right. And it's almost like just generational clients and the stories that they tell. And speaking of that generation, and one of the things that we did this year, and I've kind of like, as I've changed this firm, and we've taken this a much smaller firm, and over the last several years really grown it. Part of that is also incorporating the past and a little bit of that trust history. So Bob Whitley, my dad, founding partner, celebrates 50 years of practice. And one of the things that I wanted to do, just because, if you go Disney World, anytime they celebrate an anniversary, they go crazy about it. I mean, they make the merchandise. Every bit of their advertising is on that anniversary. So For this year, it has been all about the 50th. We've created a seal, 50 years of trust, experience, results. That seal is like on our taglines. It's on the new commercials. So it's on the billboard. So we're trying to measure, kind of create that same, hey, we're generational. We're 50 years. You know, your father, your kids, you've all been know about us, reminding people of that. But also we can't rest on that too, and we have to show that we're moving, we're progressive. We've got, we're going to offer you the same good results, even though we've been around for a long time.
I think that's super smart, and I definitely I went to your Instagram, during the research, and right there I
Yeah,
saw the 50 years. I thought
right
that
there you
was
go.
incredible. I I went to somehow I got on your father's Avo page. I don't even know how, and it was like licensed 49 years. I'm like, holy
Yeah,
smokes, like just incredible. This is really eye opening. Let me ask you about some specific to North Carolina. So
yeah.
North Carolina, and I'm not an attorney, Ben, so I'm gonna, but somehow allows the ability to do direct mail,
Hmm.
and it can be leveraged differently where many states have
Right.
restrictions. Or what goes into that? Does your firm do direct mail, or is it oversaturated in North Carolina? Like can you help?
Sure. Yeah. That was one of the original things that the firm did many years ago. They would actually, we were groundbreaking. We would send out DVDs and they would explain how to handle your case and stuff. We stopped doing that probably about 6 years ago, just because of the saturation on it. And that is a very unique part of North Carolina, is that they will allow for direct solicitation. You have to, notify. It has a lot of requirements. It has to say it's an attorney advertising. But I'll tell you what happens is that on trucking cases, or cases that they can tell that this is an accident that is a significant claim with significant potential coverage. What we'll see, because some of our clients will show us, is that some attorneys around here will send them a shock and awe package, right? A Federal Express box of all of the ways of how they can help them. So um, it's interesting, and I think some of the other practice areas are kind of limited in what they can do with it. But that direct solicitation is certainly an issue here. And there was another lawyer that actually sued a bunch of North Carolina lawyers under a federal statute. Kind of one of these lawyers that sues other lawyers, the ones that
Mhm.
eat their own, I suppose. He of
Right,
course made a lot of stink around here, but
right.
so there's risk in it, but I'm not a fan of it anymore. But I think it certainly it helped grow a lot of practices in the beginning.
Yeah, it's certainly unique. So I had to ask about that. It
Right.
it, it does give you a way to I guess hunt, um, but I'd imagine just the cost that goes into
The
that, and
cost that goes into it, and the arguments that are made in support of it, which I believe in, which every time the legislature's tried to get rid of it, or people at the bar squawk about it. Well, let's think right now what is going on. If you're in an accident and it was caused by somebody that has Nationwide or Geico, the new move is that they are trying to get offers and information to that injured party very quickly. In fact, I am learning now that Geico is using AI, of course, like everybody else is, to input very early on data about the person's accident, with spitting out of the number. Now, we've gotten some of these cases because some clients have hired us very fast, so we know how we've seen this work, and the numbers aren't crazily bad. It's like they've made some predictive effort here. But the point being is that the only reason for this is that they want to contact the injured person quickly before the injured person hires a lawyer. They want to get an offer out to them, and they'll talk to them. Nationwide even used to go to people's homes. So if you think that's intrusive, well, then the lawyer's sending mail a couple days later. How is that any less intrusive? And
mm,
in fact, shouldn't they also have information? So,
that's a
but
good point. That's a good counter
yeah, and I
argument.
think we're going to see more of that. I'm afraid that they're going to be doing more of those moves where they try to jump the gun a little bit, and folks, are signing up for these deals and settlements, not knowing how bad, not knowing the potential long-term health effects that they'll not be able to recover from should they sign these deals. So one counter argument to the whole direct solicitation.